Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L, and now let's continue the anime train with my general impression slash kind of a review of Centaur Worries or Centaur no Nayami, one of the new shows popping up this season. So on first glance, Centaur is a slice of life show, and slice of life is really its overall feel as it's going through this. The episode structures are a bit interesting in that they are kind of more episodic than usual, in that the episode will have two different plots going on, just the one at the beginning and the one at the end. Whether or not this will be the consistent thing for the rest of the season, questionable. Before talking about the rest of the show though, talking about the production quality and art. So the art is consistent with slice of life. Generally, the slice of life shows that really try to accentuate the cuteness of the characters or accentuate the just sublime kind of feeling of life, those shows tend to have a nicer palette going on. They tend to have a nicer kind of artwork in general. The animation tends to be simpler. So we're getting that in Centaur. And nothing really wrong with that. It helps the general tone of the episode, and it helps the general tone of what the story, or just the general, I guess, it goes well with the tempo of the story and the ways the characters present themselves. So overall, in terms of the production, I think it's pretty worthwhile. And I couldn't really find any spot where the art was choppy beyond what they established their baseline art quality is going to be. So pretty good overall in terms of production quality. Now, talking about the episode itself and the content of the episode. So this was actually really interesting in that the two halves of the episode, I have two very different opinions on them, and the second half in particular is just like, wow. But the first half was very playing it straight. This was the introductory episode to their world, the introductory, just seeing a day in the life of these girls. And overall, it was pretty alright. Like, that was normal kind of high school shenanigans kind of that you would see in anime. So that was alright. I understand that. That was whatever. By the end of the first half of the episode though, I wasn't really sure if this was gonna be a show that I was gonna want to keep watching, just because, well, if they're just gonna be revolving around like general high school girl stuff and then just like kind of like little things between the girls and the relationships between the girls, I don't know if I'm gonna really enjoy that. So while I was finishing up that first half of the episode, right around when Hime went and saved her friend, whose name I forget right now, right around there, I started looking up the original manga just to find information about it. And then I was very surprised to find that the genre, it was under seinen. And seinen, for those who don't know, is the genre for like young adults. It's not the genre that's aimed for kids. And so I just got really curious as to what was going on. And I started looking up people's opinions, or I started trying to find people's opinions on the manga itself. And then the episode continued. We got through the opening and we ended up into the second half of the episode. And then as I'm looking for these opinions, I'm seeing what's happening on the screen. And then I was like, oh, nice. We're seeing like they're talking about how these people came to be. We're talking about why there aren't any humans in the world. And I'm just thinking like, oh, this is pretty interesting. They're talking about evolution and stuff. It's like, how they consider themselves human. That was very interesting. It's like, so did original humans not exist anywhere? And then they go into this sequence where they give us the history lesson with the really graphic pictures. And I was like, whoa. I did not expect that. That was, okay, so now that makes sense. That's why it's seinen, because like, shit got serious in the past for that world. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Okay. And if it had stopped there, I would have just been like, okay, that was a really good for an introductory episode like that. I guess that's just a nice little thing that they're throwing into like the second half. We're probably going to continue slice of life, and to some degree we did. But then, they continue that little sequence. And there's actually that sequence still has a few more interesting things. They tell us the classifications for the different races. The general races, the ones with the horns, the races that have wings, the races that have extra appendages like the centaurs, and then the merfolk race. And then as we're finishing that up, and like they start talking about discrimination and equality, and I'm feeling, okay, that's pretty heavy-handed, but all right, like they want the viewers to know. And then I see the two guys standing outside of the door. It's like, oh, that's messed up, man. That's really messed up. Like that's these guys are approving of what this girl is saying. And then when I'm reading what the people are saying about the manga in general, they're saying that this is a satire in a way. And also, they're also talking about the shoujo ai aspects, or just the general focus on the girls' relationships aspects that pop up in the manga. And I'm just thinking at this point, like, holy Jesus, man, like, think about how weird or how bad it would be if you're at a point as a society that you have people standing outside your classroom door watching for people who are doing things that are slightly discriminatory. And in that moment, I understood what they meant by the satire aspect. The fact that this lady is having her things approved by a government board is ridiculous. And we do know it goes that far because the episode continues the establishment of what this world stands on discrimination is. And we get it when the girls are off jogging. How, oh man, I only know Hime's name. I don't know the other two girls. Well, anyway, the blonde girl, how she doesn't want to be carried by Hime because that could be seen as discrimination. Because while in Japan, the centaurs were the proud warrior race, in other countries, they were taken as slaves and people rode on them. They were forced to let their masters ride on them. And I'm just thinking, this girl would be taken to a correctional facility for doing something that is slightly reminiscent of discrimination. And it's just like that mentality of what you can do for your friend might be something that other people will get offended over for you. You know, people will get offended for you if you do something that you might not see as discriminatory. And it's just, that was really interesting. This world takes such a hard stance against discrimination. And so at that point, I'm just thinking, okay, you know, what's going to be the general thing here? Because both episodes still have the focus on slice of life. Just the second episode gives us way more context on this world. And the fact that they live in such a world where they take discrimination seriously, and given the fact that they even lampshade it in the episode where they're talking about, like, yeah, who could ever imagine a world where there's only humans whose differences are just skin color and hair color? Who could imagine that world? We live in a world where we have real differences and people are being like, people got persecuted over these differences. And again, seeing the things that they did in that little quick montage sequence is just like, wow. So, you know, you have a world that has, I guess, much more deep scars when it comes to discrimination, and then you see the product of that. That was pretty interesting. And again, the thought that your classes are being policed to such a degree to prevent any kind of discrimination is really just intense. Because at that point, you're pretty much saying that you don't trust people to be kind, and that's pretty fair. That's actually a pretty fair assumption that people can't be kind on their own and not be discriminatory. But it was just, that was good. That second half of the episode, you know, it premised things and then it continued the flow by giving us like more cases of these nuances. And then we also kind of got the nuances being told to us when Hime was talking about the track team. Like, you know, they divide it up by race so that they give people a fair chance, and Hime is just not the fastest among centaurs. Like, that was actually also, okay, that makes sense. You would want to divide these people by race because you don't want to take advantage of their properties. So overall, the seinen aspects of this show, I think, are very worthwhile. And people on the manga were talking about how there was like one really racist encounter, and they were relatively happy about how the mangaka handled it. And now I kind of want to see that racist encounter. I kind of want to see what the girls are going to do. I kind of want to see how they will deal with that, given that discrimination is such a big deal for this world. But then, you know, there's the slice of life aspects, and then there's just what's going on between the girls. And I was looking up on the manga what they were saying, and they're like, you know, there is a focus on the girls' relationships, both relationships as friendships and relationships that are beyond friendship, but it doesn't seem to overly focus on it. So from the way it sounds, it seems that it's something that's acknowledged because it's just normal part of the girls' lives, but it's not something that they dwell on. So it'd be, I guess, as simple as just how we got a little kiss in the first part of the episode at the climax of the first half. And if it's that degree of just, you know, acknowledging these girls might have these type of relationships, but that's not all these girls are about, I think it'll be a really respectable show. and then it'll stay away from that territory of, oh guys, yeah, this week it was just a full-on lovey-dovey thing. Nothing of real consequence happened between the girls except lovey-dovey stuff. We'll avoid that, and instead it'll be like, you know, these girls are having real problems, and I appreciate that. So that's where I'm sitting with this show right now. I kind of just want to hope that, because this seems to be a show that's about exploring the alternate world of what happened if evolution went differently and humans divided into 4 subsets, you know, I want to keep seeing that kind of exploration, and hopefully we won't turn into just a regular slice of life romantic comedy or romance. And there's nothing wrong with romance, it's just they're not usually that fun to talk about. Romance that brings in relatable problems, though, that's a bit more enjoyable. So that's my general thoughts on Centaur. I'm gonna keep watching it, most likely. Whether or not I continue talking about it, it'll depend on if it continues presenting relatively interesting topics, and also like on you guys. If you guys want to keep hearing my opinions about this show, let me know down below. Leave a like on the video, and yeah, that'll be a pretty good way of letting me know. Otherwise, yeah, Centaur, I'm pretty happy I sat down to watch it, but this is one of those shows that my interest is it's really going to depend. And really, this first episode was a great example. The first half of the episode I appreciated, but the second half was just like, wow, that was pretty cool. So guys, let me know what you thought down below, and yeah, also, if you like anime videos and other anime related topics, you know, consider subscribing. If you got this far, you might like the rest of the videos I have. And yeah, to the rest of you guys, thanks for watching. Until next time, I hope you have a great day.